much for a big economic boost. It may take years before an infrastructure spending program proposed by Barack Obama will have a positive impact on the economy. That's according to the Congressional Budget Office, CBO. Maybe the private sector will do a better job. Our next guest is Douglas Fried, a partner at law firm Chadbourne Park. Well, what about it, Doug? I mean, you know, Barack Obama has said there are plenty of infrastructure projects that are ready, that are shovel-ready. In other words, can start to create jobs right away. Do you buy that argument, or is it a longer-term proposal?
I think you have to look at sort of two pieces of the coin. I mean, Barack Obama's objective is to get jobs into the economy as fast as possible. And that's great. And there are certain shovel-ready projects that you could put jobs to work right away. You could have people repaving roads, filling potholes, and that's great. But let's use that as a limited amount of resources. That's really like giving the economy a short-term pop. I think what President Obama really has to think about is sort of long-term and getting sustained job growth for the economy. And when I think of infrastructure investment and building bridges and tunnels and roads and things like that, I really look at it as a perfect fit for Obama's objectives to create jobs. And what you can do is you could take a small piece of federal funds and leverage that with private investment. Instead of creating one road or one bridge, you could create a multiple of roads, a multiple of bridges.
Wait a minute. You want us to lever up after all the lessons we just learned, levering ourselves up 30-1 at Bear and 10-1 at City? Now you want the federal government to come lever me up too?
You want to create jobs, infrastructure investments. When you're looking at sort of economies that are turning around and leading an economic turnaround, a lot of them you want to invest in investment-grade projects. When you look at infrastructure projects, a lot of them, depending upon the level of that, will be investment grade. And you get sort of a sustained cash flow that is relatively predictable and could service debt. You're not talking about high-risk investments here.
I heard that from the guys sitting there.
Rebecca wants to jump in, but the thing about it, when you bring private investment in alongside government, they run better. I mean, we bring business in. Government doesn't do business very well, but when you bring private companies in, they do.
The private, then why do we need this stimulus package if you're saying that there's all this private capital that wants in?
Amen.
You make a good point. Depending upon the project and the level of cash flow that can sustain the debt, you might not need federal funds or state funds for the particular project, or if you have that available, you add that as a stimulus.
So the federal government will only put the money in when they know they're going to lose money because the free market wasn't going to do it on its own because it couldn't find it profitable. That's the only time you want us in is when the free market won't find it profitable?
I'm talking about stable cash flow projects. You're not talking about risky investments.
That is same the pitch I heard from the guys with the CDOs and the CMOs for the last 10 years. How'd that work out? Stable cash flows. It's a safe investment.
This is grassroots. This is not something, you know, in cyberspace. This is building a road. People are going to use the roads. People are going to generate revenues from using these roads, using these bridges. This isn't some funky structure.
Those houses real too? The houses that the CMOs and CMOs...
Well, we had different problems. People investing in things over their heads. But if you take, and if you look at sort of the private investment, you have, besides banks, you have a lot of private equity out there available right now. You have over $180 billion that's ready to go in infrastructure projects. So really, by sort of investing in infrastructure projects, you're meeting Obama's objectives, you're creating jobs, and you're doing it in a way that's going to limit sort of the tension on the state and federal deficits, or you might not even need investment from the state or local governments, depending upon what project it is.
I want to drink some of that Kool-Aid, man. I think the federal government can pull it all off.
What Kool-Aid? This is a basic, infrastructure. This isn't something funky.
All right.
All right, we have a Fox
so
Business
much,
alert. Sorry, I was just answering. GM